Yeah, I've got these great lumps on the edge where the bone has healed.
So, welcome everybody to our October full council meeting, Glastonbury Town Council. Welcome especially to members of the public who've come, and special welcome if you come to do the public participation and just address us on whatever you wish right at the beginning. The last couple of months actually there hasn't been hardly anybody in public participation, but tonight we've got a full slate, so that's really nice. You're welcome. Before, I should say I'm Loka Bandhu, Mayor of Glastonbury, and I'll be chairing tonight. Before we begin, I should mention there is no fire alarm planned for tonight. So if you hear the fire alarm, please take it seriously. I can't believe it'll do much damage with the rain outside, but you never know. Take it seriously and make an orderly exit down the stairs, and we'll assemble outside. Yes, so public participation. I've got 5 people penciled in. I'm not sure the first one is here. Heather Hull from the Glastonbury Cricket Club. Nope. But second, we have Tom and Alex from R4 Scaffolding, who I think want to address us on the Life Factory. So if you'd like to come forward, there's a microphone just there, and please speak to us. It'll just work. It'll just work.
Oh, it'll just work.
Okay. As soon as it goes green, it's working.
I'd just like to introduce ourselves. We're Tom and Alex from R4 Scaffolding. We were brought on board to scaffold the red brick building, and we just got some questions really about what's really going on. So to start, we're owed a large amount of money, and it's not now just affecting us as a company, it's affecting our employees, because where we're owed money, obviously a knock-on effect for them. So then if we're owed money, then it means that we've got to find money elsewhere to keep our company afloat. During this whole sort of ordeal, we've never posted anything online or gone to anyone about it. We've been trying to deal with it within house, sort of see what's going on, but we've never really been given any answers. So we were invited here tonight, so I was wondering if we can get some answers, really. We were told from the beginning that there was a set amount for the project, but we were never told how much the amount was. And at no point were we told during the project that the money ran out. So therefore, we just kept turning up, putting the scaffolding up, assuming that our invoices were going to be paid. The state of our kit and the site is unacceptable, really. We've not really worked on a site like it before. It's getting to the point where some of our employees are refusing to work there just because of how bad the site is. And some places it's unsafe as well. We've had to keep some of it up because they've not supported one of the walls. And now we're sort of like stopping and starting. We're going there, and then we're coming back, going there, coming back. But we've never like kicked up the fuss. We've always sort of gone with it, sort of tried to keep everyone level-headed. One of the workers there, Keith, he asked us to put a job up for him, which we happily would, but we told him that we wanted paying up front. He said to us that he would pay us weekly, which we said, look, we're already owed money. If you've got the money, pay us up front. He went behind our back, got another scaffold for him in, used our scaffolding to cross the bridge, and then they attached their scaffolding to our scaffolding for safety reasons. So it wasn't until we drove past and seen it that we realised it went behind our back. Again, we didn't kick up a fuss. We just let it be because there's no point arguing over something that we don't know what the outcome is yet. We just want to know where the money's gone, really, because everything we've put up, you can physically see where our money's gone. So if we put a tower up, you can see where that invoice has gone. If we've done this, you can see where our money's gone. They're saying the money's gone. Well, we don't know where it's gone. We sort of want answers to where it's gone. And if it was gone way before us putting stuff up, why weren't we told this project's on hold for a minute, basically? Obviously, where it's such a big project, we turned down other projects to help this project, so therefore we lost money elsewhere. So now we're in a position where we've lost money for other projects and lost money for this project, so we're sort of double the money lost, really, if that makes sense. Why is it allowed to get this far? Why is it now? It's been what, 5-6 months since we've been owed this money? 9 months. Why has it gone? Why has it gone that far? Why has it not been dealt with 1 month, 2 months, 3 months? That's about it, really. We just sort of want some answers, really. We just sort of want to know. What? Yeah, and are we going to get paid? Because obviously, as a council, we signed the contract at the beginning of the job. So we want to know where we stand, really.
Thank you.
And that was it. Thanks so much for your time.
I should maybe have said at the beginning, the etiquette is we don't respond immediately to you here, because often the issues raised are quite complicated, but we do note it and we will try and make sure a response comes as soon as possible. It's a very live issue. I totally get it. I totally get that you want an answer. Councillor Henson?
I completely sympathise with you. I've been self-employed for 40 years. I know exactly what it's like not getting paid for jobs, and cash flow is king, obviously. I mean, this is obviously not a town council project. It is a red brick building or a life factory, and there is not one on our agenda tonight where we're going to discuss this. I mean, we would gladly, I think, you know, get this sorted out as quickly as possible for your guys' sake. But at the moment, it's not in our hands. But we will do what we can to sort of find out what's at the bottom of it and try and get things moving for you.
So where did the money come from the project then?
The money came from the town deal, which was from central government, from projects. So Somerset Mendip Council originally, but Somerset Council hold the money, but the money is from central government originally. Yeah. I'm not sure what happened to that money, to be perfectly honest. I mean, as far as I was aware, because it didn't go to those projects.
So we're not going to get into a whole discussion about it, but we will get an answer to you. We've got your contact details, I'm assuming, yeah? I'd like to continue with public participation, if you don't mind. So can I call next on Ruth Presdy from the Grace Community Church? It'll just work, don't worry.
Okay, hi. Gosh, it's a bit difficult to follow that, really. My name's Ruth. I'm from Grace Community Church, and I've been asked to just come and tell you a little bit about us, a little bit about who we are, what we do. We are a Christian church, non-denominational. We meet over at the at Landmark House, over on just past the Tesco's roundabout. We, as I say, are Christian, non-denominational, but fairly mainstream Christian. We have a wide base of folk, really, from different backgrounds that join us, from all different types of denominations and unchurched people as well. We've also recently had quite a lot of people who are working over here at the moment from who are coming over as carers and working in Somerset at the moment. And so we have a fair few sort of transient people who are here for a term of a contract, worship with us, and then they move on. So a lot of people from Africa, actually, which is really interesting. We have a fairly strong emphasis on Bible teaching and a personal relationship with God. And I'd say we are people who love God and who love God's people and try and work in our community as much as we can. Sunday mornings, we meet at, as I said, Landmark House at 10:30. There's the usual combination of singing and prayer, and people bring scriptures or anything that's on their heart, really. There's someone who'll teach. Our style of worship is more contemporary. Nothing wrong with the odd hymn, but ours tend to be more contemporary. We've got some fantastic musicians. And obviously there's a Sunday school for all ages, a fairly mixed all-age group. Apart from the first Sunday of the month, when we have breakfast together and we share communion, and at that point, we don't tend to have music. It's more of a get-together, a social, just to catch up with people, a time to be together, really. So those are our classic Sundays. Obviously, as you'd expect, during the week, there's a prayer meeting and there's the usual sorts of things you'd expect from a church. We tend to have a Bible study series on the go. Quite often there's something like that in the evening. But there are also social groups. There's a craft group that meets a couple of Thursdays a month in the evening. And there's a group that meets to do games night on a Wednesday night. So card games, board games, that sort of thing. So again, a social type of thing, again, with lots of people from outside of the church coming in on those sorts of things. We run Busy Bees toddler group on a Tuesday morning, and that's a donation-only toddler group that's been running for about 3 years now. Quite popular. And very busy for Busy Bees. It's only during term time. And then there's Open House, which is a coffee morning on a Friday morning, well, Friday lunchtime really, 11 till 2, which is exactly what it says. Drink coffee, eat cake, chat, that sort of thing. And everything is very open to visitors. We also have a website that's Grace Community Church Glastonbury that can tell you a little bit more about what we believe, who we are. And obviously, I'm open to questions if anybody would like to know more. All very straightforward. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I believe Susanna Clements would like to speak to us about the multi-use path.
Hi. Yeah, okay, I'm just asking the endorsement of Glastonbury Town Council. Thanks, Connor, for it's sort of a second path, really, alongside. So the map is up there. So if we coming south from Glastonbury to Street, on the right-hand side of the main road, there's currently the so-called multi-user path, which is way too narrow for what's needed. It's supposed to be a cycle path and a walking path, but it's not wide enough for two cycles to pass each other. Or let alone, yeah, cycle and pedestrian is really difficult. So it struck me that to the right on the map here, there's the row of oak trees, and the land along there is slightly raised so it doesn't flood. And that would be quite a good place to have a pedestrian path, leaving the other one open to cycles. There would then need to be a bridge over, roughly where the cursor it was just a moment ago there, thank you, over that it's a drain, it's called a drain, South Drain, I think. A bridge over there, and then a permissive path carrying on through the next field as far as a gate. Again, there are trees along there. It's not so much raised, but it doesn't seem to flood. So I thought, how on earth do we get this? And first of all, I went to the Conservation Society because somebody leaked to me that they had a little bit of money. I thought, well, perhaps they could build the bridge, the pedestrian bridge. And then there, I was told you need to speak to Street because it's on Street side of Pompars Bridge. The committee I spoke to at Street Parish Council sounded really interested in the idea, but obviously the money would have to be found. But they said you're going to have to get the endorsement of Glastonbury Town Council as well. And it was only the other day on Sunday that I heard that Sustrans will build paths. Whether they would do this or not, I don't know. But I was just wondering whether Glastonbury Town Council would at least verbally endorse the idea, pass that back to Street, and then maybe we could sort of keep working to get something going so we can have a continuous walking and cycling route between Glastonbury and Street that everybody can use. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Susanna. Sounds a very excellent project. So last one is Carol from the Peace Project. Carol, yeah.
Thank you. We've got far too much talk at the moment going on about war and fighting constantly. And back in World War II, Glastonbury was very much at the heart of the Battle of Britain's silent minute. which many people believe have quite an impact. So I think we should be starting a world peace project from here. I'd like to see peace flags, and I was very impressed with what Terry said at the last meeting, that he was supporting the people in their dedication to what they were doing at the monument. But if we are constantly looking at taking different sides, we're constantly divided. I think if we can go to the heart of the matter and go for a peace project, and I'd like to see a peace flag. I'd like to see one on the building, and I'd like to see little ones like this, not necessarily with the football flag on, but seriously, we can get people in the town to devise and design slogans for peace. You know, these are some of the other ones that I've got here, taking into town, you know, the heart of peace, with Glastonbury being known as the heart chakra of the entire planet, as we know. But, you know, we can do it with a bit of fun, but we need to actually get people focusing more on peace and being united. Otherwise, we're all untied. It's the same letters, just a different order. You know, we have to do something. And Glastonbury, as we know, the ripples go out around the world. We could do something really, really positive from here. Now, I clearly know that you haven't got a penny in the bank, as we've just heard practically. So, you know, there won't be any funding for this, but with the endorsement and the people of the town involved, we could actually make some real headway with making this, making it known for people to participate in peace, rather than all this focus on fighting and bullets and bombs and people making a bloody fortune out of killing one another. So I'd like to know what you've got to say about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's very timely, Carol. Thank you. So last week and the week before at United Nations, the Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Mottley, said, we need to live in peace. So I emailed her last week and said, you're the first world leader who's ever said that. Then I got a really nice reply from their staff, and I said, have you got a Ministry of Peace? If not, that would be a great thing to do, but so if you want someone to talk to, she's the one.
I do recall reading as well in some of my research that I think when we're at was given the keys to Avalon for a peace project or something. So there are a lot of people around the world that would like to connect with this. Let's get something properly going.
Thank you very much. Yes. In a minute, we've got one more public participation. The thing we do after that is light the unity candle and have a minute of silent witnessing. So I'd like to invite you to come forward and light it for us in a minute. We've got one more public participation, which is a Jeremy. Is a Jeremy with us? Who I believe also wishes to speak on the red brick building.
Sorry, I got here a bit late. Okay, when I was asked to speak about I thought, you know what, I'll write it down, what happened there. I was involved right from the beginning when it was the Accelerator Fund. So way back when it was like replace the roof of the building, clean the building, from the very beginning. And I started to write it down. It came to about 8 pages. So this time last year at Christmas time, we were 6 months ahead of schedule. We still had well over £400,000 in the budget left to put on the roof. The roof was already priced up, it's 190,000. It was a 3-month lead time. The roof would have been on that building, we all know this, the people who work there, by June, and the building would have been sealed up, finished. I don't know what's happened to that money. The money that was left over from that's still in there. And then we started to have to butt up our building up to the red brick building. And it turned out the red brick building, I think they're into £200,000 worth of work now on their building, on the red brick building, not on building C, not on the Life Factory, on the red brick building. You've got a situation down there with the red brick where, I'll give you an example, one person was employed there as a maintenance manager. Within 1 year, he's on their board of Red Brick Property Services, which manages the tenants in the building. Oh, who's running the bar? Oh, it's his wife. It's a conflict of interest down there. You've got people who are employees are then being put on the board. You've got people coming to us, professional builders, I'll give you an example. It's like if you were a pilot and you were flying an airplane, people would come over and say, well, do you really need 2 wings on that airplane? People were asking questions from there. It's way out of their jurisdiction. They're dealing with a multi-million-pound budget when they've only turned over tens of thousands of pounds in the year. We were told in the beginning, oh, there's a review, the council's put you on hold. And basically, the council were misled actively by people who work and are employed by the red brick. And hopefully when you forward your report, you're going to see this, because we were on budget to finish that project 6 months ahead of schedule and fulfilled all the things that were in the original application fund. We'd employed all local people, we were training people up, we had people from who don't live in bricks and mortar dwellers, non-bricks and mortar dwellers were employed for us. We were way ahead of schedule. Where is the money now for that? And we've got at least 40 people who haven't been paid. So I would ask the council now, when you have released this money, please do not release it to the red brick. Please pay the workers yourself, direct from the bank. Please don't let the red brick manage this project, because they have no idea what they are doing. There's corruption, and it's in the red brick building. It wasn't in anything to do with the building C. The corruption is in the red brick building. Friends employing friends, making them directors, employing their spouses. The red brick's meant to be a community building. What's it giving back to the community, that building? It doesn't give back anything. It runs a commercial bar and a commercial restaurant. Maybe once in one afternoon a week, they might let the homeless people in and give them a cup of coffee. Nothing is happening for the community from that building. It looks like it is. Go and read their pamphlets. It all looks great. Go and actually see what happens there. Very little. Please pay the workers, and please don't put the red brick in charge of that building C. It's a building for the community, and we're waiting to get in there and do it, and do it as a community. Thanks very much.
Sure, I will do, yeah.
We haven't got the money. We're not the people that
I'll say that. So, thank you very much to both of you, Tom and Alex and Jeremy, who speak on the red brick building. I completely share your concerns that we need to know the story of what happened. We're going to move on in a second. I just want to make it clear that people often speak about the council and get muddled up about which council they're talking about. So the money has gone from national government to Somerset Council, who's dispersing it to all the different town deal projects one by one. In this case, the red brick building. We are Glastonbury Town Council, who have nothing to do with the money. We have an interest in it because clearly we are part of the town, you are part of the town, the whole thing's part of the town. But the money is not coming to us, it never has and never will. It's coming up later in the agenda when there's a motion about it, and we'll get to that in due course. So if you're willing, I'd like to move on now to the rest of the meeting.
I'd like to suggest we move that item further up the agenda, please.
I was thinking that we've got Liz Lasham with us tonight, who's from Somerset Council. And I asked her if she'd like to move it up, but she said no, because she's got an interest in all the other items. So I prefer to just...
Your Worship, I'm perfectly happy with you changing the order of the agenda. I'll simply stay on for the other item.
Okay.
Change the order of the agenda.
Okay. Fine. So I'm happy to change the order, actually. So we'll proceed, and then when we get to the beginning of the meeting, which hasn't officially started yet, we will look at changing the order. It's recorded, it's heard, it's witnessed, but it's not minuted. So we're now starting the formal meeting of Glastonbury Town Council. You're still really welcome. The first thing to do is receive apologies for absence. As you can see, there's a few gaps around the table tonight. Oh, I'm sorry. I do apologise. We're going to light the unity candle and have a minute's silence. Carol, in the name of peace, would you be willing to come up and light it for us? Thank you very much.
Thank you. I've actually been to Nagasaki, and I've been to the Peace Museum there, and they have turned a town that was absolutely devastated into a place of peace. And this is what we need now in the world.
So, Thank you very much, everyone. So apologies for absence.
I have had myself apologies from councillors Price and Cottle, both unfortunately owing to being unwell. I understand you've received other apologies.
I've got apologies from Councillor McDougall and Smythe, also unwell. I guess it's going around. Declarations of interest? Any new?
And Indra, she very
Oh, yes.
on.
Thank you. Also, Don Francesco, also unwell. Yes, thank you. Declarations of interest. Any new declarations of interest not already recorded? Nope. So let's approve and sign the minutes of the last meeting, and then we'll look at changing the agenda. Last meeting, 3rd of September. No, that's not right.
Thank you, Your Worship.
That's right, 10th of September, yeah. So page 32. Page 33. Page 33. Page 34. Page 34. Page 35. Page 36. Page 37. Oh, sorry, Councillor.
Yeah, on page 37, in response to Councillor White's update on the town deal, I asked a question about people who are not being paid. I note that this has not been minuted, nor has Councillor Don Francesco's response.
Should we minute that?
If you'd like to, I would then suggest that you don't sign them this evening and we take them away and add that section in. It's up to council whether you would like that specifically minuted.
I think so, yeah.
I'm happy to, sure. Okay. Okay, so we'll make that modification. Page 37. And page 38.
So you won't be signing them this evening, Your Worship. These were circulated quite some time in advance. It does help if these kind of queries are raised beforehand, because I could have had a set ready to sign this evening, but they'll come to the next meeting, Your Worship.
Okay, fine. So there's been a proposal to move the item 10 up the agenda. To do that, I just need somebody to propose it and second it. Is that you?
Propose that we do that.
So proposed by Councillor Henderson, seconded by Councillor Cook. Are we happy to move it up the agenda? Aye. Okay. So let's do that next.
Was that unanimous or a majority, Your Worship? I wasn't watching. I do apologise.
I believe it was unanimous, yeah. So item 10 is a motion from Councillor Osborne, seconded by Councillor Cook, calling upon the town Deal Board and officers of Somerset Council to make public the full independent audit of the Life Factory project. I'll invite you to say a word or two about it in a second. I'll just say a word myself, that it's been noted already that some 9 months ago, it was flagged that the red brick building was a project of concern. Somerset Council paused the funding. The red brick building conducted an audit of what was going on, sent it to Somerset, not to us, I haven't seen it. Somerset then decided to conduct their own audit which has been in process for some time. It's been expected imminently for quite some time now, but hasn't yet appeared. And this motion is asking that that audit, which should come out any time, really, is public when it comes out. Do you want to say a word about it, Councillor Osborne?
I'm concerned that, given what we've heard tonight from people who have not been paid, that this audit may well expose some people to, shall we say, embarrassment. I think that's the kindest way I can put it. And I am concerned that it will be lost in the audit committee somewhere in Somerset Council. The whole town deal started off with, I think it was 10 projects. As you said correctly earlier, 2 of them got pulled. Some of them seem to be jogging along quite nicely. We had a very in-depth explanation about St Dunstan's house. I understand that the Tor Leisure thing is going ahead quite nicely. And the Abbey, Bailey's building seems a bit slow, but it's there. But some of them have been mired in difficulty. The Bride's Mound project, which I thought was really good, it lost its little bus because it was a capital cost only.
The bus was the park and ride, not Bride's Mound.
So
that's not correct.
Oh, so I'm sorry about that. I thought it was just, okay. So, but it's just going to be an expensive hut, let's be honest now, when it was going to be something much more. And the site for the non-bricks and mortar people, that turned out to be on a floodplain, so that hasn't worked out so well. And the clean energy project that is taking up that site, and that would be good because they'll be able to do electric stuff on water, which would be really a new and innovative thing. But the real issues are around the ones from the red brick building. There are 2 projects that were done out of that building. One of them is a farm. That involved the purchase of 2 fields with a sewage pipe between them. It amounts to totally 22 acres, and £286,000 or £13,000 an acre was paid for that land, despite the fact that at the time agricultural land was on average only 6,500 in Somerset. It's interesting that such a very expensive piece of land was bought. Anyway, then we go on to the Life Factory or Building C, because that's now joining Glastonbury Abbey as one of Somerset's picturesque roofless ruins. 70% of £3 million allocated has been spent, apparently. But now there are differing stories. I'm told there was money. I'm told people haven't been paid. I'm told the money's gone. I don't know where it's gone, but I'd like to know, and I think the people in this room would like to know, and people out in the town. Now, I know that Somerset, as Lokabandu has said, have started an inquiry, and they're not a body known for their financial acumen, but they were so concerned that a section 151 was put in, and it to investigate the project's finances. And that's really what this is about. It's about making sure that there is full transparency, that what has gone on in this, well, rather dark and murky corner of the town deal board is brought to the light so that everyone in this town who was promised so much from that town deal but is actually going to receive so little because so much of the money has been squandered. Yeah. We need to know the full details of what happened. It needs to be public, and I urge everyone to vote for this motion.
Thank you. My understanding, although I'm not an expert on Somerset Council, is that the intention is always that it was and will be public. I don't know that for a fact, but that's certainly my understanding. And personally, unless anybody wants to speak against the motion, I suggest we move straight to vote. I certainly support it. Does anybody want to speak against this motion?
Enable legislation to speak?
Do you want to say anything, Liz, or shall we move to vote? So all those in favour of the motion as tabled is unanimous. Thank you very much. I very much look forward to it coming out, and I'm as interested as you are in what it says. And I hope the whole thing moves forward and people get paid as quickly as possible. I really do. Thank you. So thank you for coming tonight. I'm sorry it's been such a painful process for you. Feel free to stay, but we are as keen as you are to find out what happened. Okay, so we'll go back to item 4 on the agenda, an update on actions from the last meeting. Sure.
Thank you.
All right. Take your time.
Want to leave?
I got it in sort of corporate screen as well.
Oh, yeah. Oh, thank you. I'm interested. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Oh. Steve?
Thanks.
So an update on actions from the last meeting.
Thank you, Your Worship. In terms of actions raised at the last meeting, we were to send the endorsed list of highways works to Somerset Council. That was completed.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a reply on several of those, but Somerset Council have received that list. The extension date for the neighbourhood plan survey was advertised, and indeed we distributed that to the local press, and also paid for some additional advertising via social media, which was the quickest way we could do it after the postal mishap.
Sure.
To get that information out to the public. We are in the process of putting together everything that we need to apply for the loan that we hope we don't have to take out, but we are applying for St Dunstan's House. The consultation for that closes next Monday. And that again has had some boosted posts on social media to encourage people to complete that. Then we have to assemble a whole host of other paperwork to send off as part of the application. So that will be done in mid to late October by the time all that is completed and ready. And Property and Assets considered the matter of fireworks on events on its land. So those were the actions raised at the last meeting, Your Worship.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on that? So let us move on and note the latest crime statistics report. Which seems to be going up slightly.
So the latest figures
Could you do the last 3 years? Click that tab there. Any comments or reflections on this?
I don't think we had that sent to us this month, did we, Connor? I couldn't.
link in. There's a link in the email that comes out with all the paperwork.
Sorry.
You can also bookmark it in your own browsers. If you sort of Google police statistics Glastonbury, it comes up and you can bookmark it in your browser. There's always a link because I don't download it. It's very difficult to print.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, Connor, I got it.
That's all right.
Happy to move on. So let's, item 6, consider the schedule of payments. So the idea with this is we send any queries in advance to Connor or Jane, our responsible finance officer, so they've got a bit of time to look into things. Hopefully there's no unexpected queries here, but if there are, let's speak. I know Serena sent in a query and got a response. Which
I did, and I want to actually discuss my query. But that's the budget, not this.
Okay. So anything on the schedule of payments?
I have one, Your Worship. I can't see it quite there now, but it was about the sewage and the water supply to the loos in one of the loos. Anyway, it seemed to be £500 a month, but I may have got that right. It seemed an awful lot to me.
Probably St John's car park.
Could be, yeah. Is that right? £500 a month?
Which payment are you referring to, Councillor Mutch?
St John's car park, that's 4212. 4212.
So
That's the
Own number.
that's the cleaning of St John's car park public toilets. I had a discussion with His Worship the Mayor on the way back from Bath this afternoon.
Right.
And that's the going rate for having public toilets cleaned.
£100 a month? Oh, you never learn, don't you?
£1,300 a month to have them cleaned.
Why don't you check exactly what your query was and send it in after the meeting, and then they can check.
Yeah.
Okay. So the budget monitoring report, similar but different.
Sorry, Your Worship, did Council wish for the schedule to be signed? I've got
I do
a copy for you to
apologise.
sign here.
Are you happy for me to
I will
sign
suffice.
off on the schedule?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Okay.
That's a copy for you to sign, Your Worship.
Thanks so much. So we'll move on to the budget monitoring report.
Observation.
Can
Your
you
Worship.
sign as well?
And just we've got the explanation on the next sheet, but there's no numbering on the actual report, which
Oh, I noticed that.
Oh,
look for them a little bit.
I apologise. That would have been a formatting. Yeah, okay. We'll check that before it goes out next time. It normally works. I apologise for it not working.
Yes.
So this is obviously a snapshot of the budget position as is now. We wouldn't have expected to have received all of our income yet, but generally, as you scroll through the list, red is not favourable, green is favourable.
Again, ideally, we're sending questions in advance. Councillor, when
So
did you
yes, I did send my question in advance, and
Sure.
unfortunately Jane was away, but Connor answered
sure.
as best he could.
Yeah.
But it brought up in my mind something that I thought was a more general question, which I thought I'd like to raise with the Town Council. And this is, so if we look at, it initially came to me when looking at with the Town Council where we've got the decarbonisation bit.
Oh, yeah.
And that is in Town Hall and Council team expenditure, and it's down the fifth on the list after training. Now, it says here 25,000 is the budget, and that, of course, was what we agreed when we set the budget. But the previous year, we'd also set 25,000, of which some was spent. Now, when we were with the Climate Emergency Group Advisory Committee, we had a thing where we'd had the budget of 750 and there'd been an overspend for the People's Assembly for the soup. And what I discovered with Jane was that the money from the previous year could actually run over into that year, and that meant that the soup was paid for from the run over from the previous year. But of course, that run over isn't shown in our budget. So at the moment, it looks like, just using decarbonisation as an example, but I think it applies to other things as well, that we've got 24,000 plus. But actually, we've still got money, like 20,000 from last year. So actually, for the decarbonisation, we've got 44,000. Do you see what I'm saying? But we don't know this.
Yeah.
And so when, for instance, we're asking for money for something and it's like, oh, there's not enough money in the pot, but is there actually enough money in the pot? Because there's what's left over from the previous year. So I thought it was a bigger thing about the budget and us knowing exactly what money we have got to spend on the different projects that we've agreed to spend money on. And that's why I thought it was a bigger question that had come up from a little question of me just trying to check what was happening. Actually, it was with the SEAC and Resilience Committee, that one. That's where it originally came. But I thought decarbonisation was a nice example for us to understand the query that came up in my mind.
I think,
If I may, Your Worship.
sure.
Yes, so I mean, council had a chance to see the reply that I sent. In terms of actual accounting, you do account for your in-year revenue budget separately from any funds or earmark reserves. So the council has earmark reserves that are displayed on the, they were last presented on the year-end accounts that you all looked at in June. So in terms of knowing that there is money there to spend, certainly the officers leading any projects, I myself and Jane know how much is in these funds at each time. But what I would probably suggest is, alongside the budget monitoring report, you also get a summary of any funds so that it's in your guys' consciousness more regularly. Although in fairness, if, for instance, taking the decarbonisation fund, if there did need to be a certain amount of expenditure that was over the budget this year, no one would turn around and say, oh, there isn't money for that, because you've specifically earmarked money for it. So nothing would be blocked because this is accounted for separately. But yeah, a regular summary of these funds as they exist certainly could be something that comes to either full council more regularly or the committees that look after these individual earmark reserves. So they are accounted for, they are displayed, they are on the year-end accounts, but more than happy to improve our processes, especially as we move to a new finance system for next financial year, to make this for councillors more explicit. But certainly officers who are leading projects and advising committees and council of what can and can't be done certainly are aware of these reserves. So they're not squirreled away and hidden to not be spent. They're earmarked for a purpose, and I do hope to use them. We don't want money lying around doing nothing. But certainly I can speak to the finance officer and see about a regular summary of earmark reserves.
That sounds a good move to me.
Thank you.
Can I just...
Councillor White?
Thank you. Yeah, for a good example is youth committee. So if we've got like money earmarked for projects, but they haven't started yet, that's always on our tally. So we've got like the running budget for grants of the year, and then you ring fence money for those other things.
Yeah. Anything else on the budget? Okay, so let's receive an update from the Asset and Service Devolution Subcommittee.
Certainly, Your Worship, I can provide an update. So the subcommittee has met a couple of times and has considered what it wants in terms of a package of buildings, land, services, etc., to be devolved from Somerset Council to Glastonbury Town Council. We are now at a stage that broadly Somerset and Glastonbury Town Council are in agreement. There's a couple of little queries, as there always are. I'm having a meeting with the team at Somerset and with our members of staff who are assisting me with this here at Glastonbury. We're having a meeting on Friday just to check which page each council's on in respect of who wants what. Somerset Council are keen to progress this and get what is termed a key decision at unitary authority level. And once there is agreement between Somerset Council and Glastonbury Town Council as to what this package of various things includes, it will come to a full council meeting for full council to decide. It's not for the subcommittee to make a full decision on. That may, Your Worship, require an extraordinary meeting if we need to move quickly, or it may well come, I'm hoping at the latest, to the November meeting, because I know both councils want to progress this matter. So after I have had a meeting with one of the heads of service on Friday, it's very likely that another Asset and Service Devolution Subcommittee will be called. But it's very positive. We're working well together, and broadly both councils are on the same page. So it seems to be progressing well, Your Worship. I don't know if any members of that committee either want to give a further update or if there are any questions.
Any questions or further updates? I think we had to wait quite a long time for Somerset to turn their attention to Glastonbury, but I think they've done that. And as Connor says, from my understanding, the negotiations are going well.
Good.
Okay, let's move on again. I think more from Connor, an update on St Dunstan's house.
Yes, unfortunately for you guys, you have to listen to me again. A short update. Progress at St Dunstan's house is going well. Malhuish and Saunders are in the process of getting the roof back on, which with the sound of the rain out there is very positive. Yes. There were more roof repairs needed than were anticipated. A lot of the old rafters had actually not only rotten but also bowed. So a lot of them had to have new rafters inserted, and then we had to get new reclaimed tiles because the tiles themselves had also bowed. So you now have a nice straight roof with curvy tiles which weren't going to sit on the roof. So those works are being undertaken now. I've been keeping the community involved with posts predominantly on social media with pictures as I've had updates of what's going on outside and inside. But generally everything is progressing well, Your Worship. So I shan't take up any more of your time, but happy to take any particular questions.
Yeah, just one. I just walked past the car park and I saw the bollards and the tape round there.
Oh, yes.
Is that going to be the start of the new power line?
Yes, so there's a section of the car park which is currently cordoned off because there's a new power main having to be provided into St Dunstan's house because the current main wouldn't supply enough electricity for what the building is going to do. So over a period of 4 weeks, National Grid are going to be digging a trench and laying a new power main, and they're doing it in sections. And they will move from the corner where the Burns the Bread unit is all the way around the car park and come in at the back of St Dunstan's house around there. All the necessary stakeholders have been engaged with. Access will still be maintained to the Burns the Bread unit, and National Grid will be completing the work in a way that will not affect the market on a Tuesday. We've specifically designed the rota for their work around the full area of the car park being available on a Tuesday. So they will come and cordon off their site on a Tuesday afternoon. They will work Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They will leave the section that they have dug and laid cable in over the weekend to be re-tarmacked on a Monday, ready for the market to happen on a Tuesday, for then the process to repeat another 3 times. And then we'll have a new power main into the back of St Dunstan's house. So there will be disruption. There will be less car parking spaces available through the week. We have tried to do most of the work not in a half term to try and coincide with when there are less people wanting to use the car park. There will be disruption, but it will be managed very professionally by National Grid and their contractors. That's what we're paying them for. So yes, Councillor White.
Thank you.
Any other, Councillor Cook?
Just a question for Connor. Would it be at all possible for any of us with, real interest in renovation work on a Grade 2 listed building to have a small guided tour?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I'm sure I can arrange that, Councillor Cook. I've been round a couple of times after our progress meetings. The Town Council does have PPE to provide. It doesn't have an awful lot, so it'd have to be very small groups, and I'd have to arrange that with the site manager. But certainly, if you'd like to contact me, I can try and arrange for us to go and have a look round.
It's terrific, yes.
And what I will try and do is every time I go in and have a look, I did send round a link to all the pictures that I took, so even if a council's not able to visit the house at a certain period of time, I'm circulating all of those pictures that I'm taking as a record of what's happening. But yes, if you'd like to get in touch with me, I can arrange with the site manager to go in and have a look.
Hi, I'm at your disposal entirely.
Sorry?
Disposal entirely on that.
Well, that's fantastic to hear, Councillor Cook.
Well, try and keep it friendly.
Very good. On that positive note, we'll move on. Thank you. So we've done item 10 already, the red brick motion. Item 11. So this is something, the item is to reaffirm Glastonbury's Earth Protector Town status and appoint a representative. So some time ago, I don't have a date in mind, I'm afraid, previous incarnation of the council.
It was about 2015.
Maybe 2015.
No, I can tell you precisely when it was. It was 2019.
Okay.
2019.
Because we had the climate emergency group was formed. We had our first open day in the September of 2019. We had somebody from Stroud who came down to talk about Earth Protected Town status. and we brought it, you'll remember this, Steve, we brought it as a motion to the council the following month. So I think probably November 2019, but I might be 1 month out.
Anyway, some 5 years ago, before my time, but not before your time, we declared ourselves, we joined the movement of Earth Protector communities, Earth Protector towns, and Claire Crumpton, who was our mace bearer, was appointed our kind of champion or representative. She wrote to me a couple of months ago asking us to find a new representative, and that's why it's coming here tonight. Councillor Don Francesco has volunteered to be the representative. She's not with us tonight because of being ill. But I'd like to, in a sense, I'd like a kind of vote of confidence from us that we want to stay part of this initiative, and we're happy for Councillor Don Francesco to be our representative. I'll just read out, they have a website, which is earthprotectorcommunities.net. So go there anytime. I'll just read out the key sentence. In declaring itself an Earth Protector town, a council undertakes to collaborate and cooperate with communities, local government bodies, businesses, educational and other organisations, everybody, to protect land, wildlife, air, soil and water. So that's what we'll be doing, protecting land, wildlife, air, soil and water in our sphere. Doesn't cost anything, I don't think. Nope.
Can I just ask one question? Was that the one where we banned glyphosate? Was that particular thing?
So the glyphosate ban came a few years earlier. Yeah. So I joined in 2019. The glyphosate ban was already in place. So the previous town council, and again, Steve would know when that was, but it was about 2017.
It was a lot earlier than 2019, I know that, yeah.
But if I may speak with
Sure.
regard to Earth Protector towns, it's part of a legal body which is declaring ecocide as a legal. And Earth Protector towns sign up to the fact that we support ecocide. And this has come at United Nations level, and lots of different countries have now themselves supported the idea of ecocide as a crime. So it means that we're part of a whole movement that is happening, not just within Britain, but across the world. And I'm very happy to second your proposal that we reaffirm our status and for Indra to be our representative.
Thank you. Should we make that a vote?
Yes, please,
okay.
Your Worship.
Are we happy to move to vote on that? Yes. All those in favour? All those against? All those abstaining? So 1 and against, 1 abstention.
Thank you. It's a majority, Your Worship.
Thank you, everybody. It is meant to it's meant to result in practical action as well as a general intention, but I'll invite Councillor John Francesco to consider that and how to take it forward as soon as she's better. So the next item is to receive and consider Glastonbury's climate adaptation plan, which has been circulated to all of us in our links and our folders, but you may not have seen it because it was only put there fairly recently. So over the last few months, we've been working with hold on, where is it?
Somerset Wildlife Trust.
Somerset Wildlife Trust, thank you. One of the first communities they've worked with to specifically develop a climate adaptation plan for us as our town. Obviously, we have particular issues being so close to the levels and flooding and so on and so on. But they've now completed our climate adaptation plan and launched it publicly. And our job tonight is to receive it and consider it and hopefully adopt it as a town council. So it's, here we are, yes. I think we've got 2 versions in our folder. One is the detailed one is the kind of more executive summary.
Shall I speak to this?
Yeah, please.
Yes, so I've worked with Somerset Wildlife Trust in quite some detail with regard to shaping this plan. And we started off with a room full of people where we got an initial outline on things that people wanted to do. And that then went to a smaller group who refined it. And then it went out to public consultation and the Rural Life Museum, and then it went to a launch in St John's Church, and now it's come to us. And already people are starting to take action, which is really good. So, for instance, the Repair Cafe are installing water butts, and they are getting them. So initially, the Act to Adapt had some money that they gave, and now Proper Job are giving the water butts at a discounted rate, and the Repair Cafe are installing them for a donation. So we've got stuff already happening, which feels really, really good to me. And I would like us definitely to move this forward, whether we move it forward via the Resilience Committee or SEAC. I think that is for us to choose. I know SEAC have got it on the agenda for their next meeting and had been thinking of having a People's Assembly to try to get groups of people who would take different projects on. So there actually is action happening. It's not just meetings and talking, but people are installing water butts, people are planting trees and things that we actually can do to do it, because it breaks up into very simple things that means that it really is doable, that we can take action in little ways that will actually make some difference overall.
So I think the main thing tonight is to make all of us aware that the document has been produced, it is there, it is our plan, it is going to get taken forward in the two committees Councillor Roni Dougal mentioned, SEAC and Resilience 2030 Committee. Any further thoughts or questions or comments?
A quickie. I suppose one illustration of climate adaptation is to recognise, like the rainfall we've got right now, for example. Very simple things can be done which can address concerns. Like when I went up the high street in the midst of an cloud burst earlier this afternoon, the drain where the pavement goes like that right opposite the gauntlet is rock solid. So the water was flowing over the curb and then racing down the pavement, which would be obviously very bad for anybody unstable feet. And that's the sort of thing that would sort of keep us on the ball in a very simple way.
So I think that what might be helpful for moving things forward is if this town council expresses a willingness to support groups or individuals who are doing things. Now, in what way we support them, I don't know. So, for instance, the Repair Cafe, who are installing the water butts, they've come to a bottleneck, which is the shortage of people who actually know how to install water butts and who don't have the appropriate tools. So maybe we could find some way to give support so that people can be trained up and have the appropriate tools to be able to do such a thing. Because, for instance, you install water butt, that means that water's not going out into the drains, that means that the sewage plant is not being overwhelmed with water, which means that the river is not being polluted with sewage going into the river. Do you see what I mean? So a little thing like installing a water butt can actually help to keep our rivers cleaner, you know, as it runs down. So I don't quite know how, because it's just come up and we haven't discussed it, but I would like us as a town council to actually say we are happy to support measures in whatever way we can when they come up to council for people asking help. So I asked the Repair Cafe, what did they want? This is their bottleneck, is the people to actually do the installing. How can we help? And I haven't had the response to that, but I know that that's it.
Probably hard for us to have support things before we even know what they are. Yes. But we can have a general attitude of wanting to support.
So that's what I'd like us to do. Yeah. A general attitude of support to act on the climate adaptation plan as produced by Somerset Wildlife Trust.
Yep.
That's what I'm proposing.
Should we vote on that again?
I'm very happy to second that.
That's seconded by Michael.
Okay. So
I
proposed by,
just check for the minutes, sorry, what you would like the sort of the wording of the proposal to be.
Glastonbury Town Council supports the climate adaptation plan produced by Somerset Wildlife Trust. Yes? That shows that we've got the general support for it, so that people can then come to us to ask us for help for individual things as they come up.
Yeah.
How does that sound?
That's good.
ready to move to vote on that?
Yeah.
So all those in favour? Is unanimous. Thank you, Rev. Thank you very much. Great. So we'll move on to note the resolutions of delegated committees. Again in our folder. And about to appear right here.
Oh, they will do.
Okay, yep.
So these are just for noting, Your Worship.
Yes. The decisions have been taken. This is just for our information. One, yep. Christmas is coming, according to Property and Assets.
Yes, much to the Assistant Town Clerk's delight, Christmas is coming. Not quite so much to mine. There you go, Your Worship.
Okay, so that is it, I think. Very brief this week, this month. Any questions or comments on them? Then we will receive updates from the advisory committees, where we may need to take some actual decisions. Councillor Henderson.
Just a quick one. I happened to bump into Simon from the wildlife place down on Dye House Lane the day after that Property and Assets, and he was just very impressed with how we dealt with the firework issue, and he was very grateful.
I went to see him as well.
Jolly good. Yeah, he's chuffed with me.
Yeah. Okay, so.
Yeah, he was very impressed with you, by the way.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you. He shook my hand. He showed me some of their more obscure animals, which are almost a little bit secret, I think.
All right.
Yeah. Anyway. Councillor Rennie.
Yeah, in John's absence, let me just say that the World Heritage are having an open day.
This Sunday.
No, that's a neighbourhood plan that's this weekend.
It's the...
Okay.
Yeah.
But then one is this weekend and one is November the 3rd, and I can't remember which is which.
World Heritage this Sunday.
World Heritage.
Yes.
A neighbourhood plan will be going on. Yes, that's right. They got turned around.
Yeah. From 10 till 4.
Yeah.
In the town hall, it'd be really good for people to attend because the neighbourhood plan and the work, well, both of them are prior to the next meeting. So it'd be really great if members of the council could attend both of these, and they're both in the town hall.
There's quite a vigorous debate about World Heritage already going on social media. So let's see what happens in public.
It's good. We want all the debate we can have for both of them, for both the neighbourhood plan and World Heritage, because they're now all coming to consultation, all moved to that point. And we really want the public and the town to come to those open days and debate and consult.
Going back to the ACE meeting, do we need to take it? We need to take a decision there, don't we?
Yes, please, Your Worship. Yeah. So the recommendation from the Arts, Culture and Events Committee is that the Town Council converts that advisory committee into a delegated committee so they can make their own decisions. So I have a draft set of terms of reference for that committee. Changes really relate to powers and functions, in that rather than making recommendations to full council, they can actually make decisions. Yep. So this is a committee that has been working for about 18 months, 2 years.
Yeah.
It was, yes, it must be 2 years, if not slightly longer, because it was created to organise the events for the Platinum Jubilee in 2022. So it's been functioning since then. in terms of organising events for particularly commemorations for things that happen on regular or special anniversaries, the timing of ACE committee meetings and full council quite often can cause a severe delay in the actual work of the ACE committee happening. So the committee does already have a budget, but it has to recommend to full council that it can spend that budget. The budget's £3,500, so it's quite a small budget in terms of what a committee can spend. So the advisory committee considered it at length over 2 meetings, at serious length, and they came to the conclusion that they would like to recommend to full council that it's made into a delegated committee, so they can organise host, coordinate, promote the arts, culture and events and relevant initiatives in the town. So that is the recommendation, Your Worship. If I could have someone to propose that it is either accepted or rejected, and then a seconder, and then a vote to be taken, please, Your Worship.
I'm happy to second. Does anybody want to speak against it, or should we move straight to vote?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I always understood advisory committees could have people who are non-councillors who were members,
Yep.
But that delegated committees could only have councillors and not non-councillors. Was that an incorrect understanding?
No, that's not an incorrect understanding. I'll stand up to explain this one. There are some intricacies in the Local Government Act 1972, specifically Regulation 31C, that because it is a committee that promotes tourism, you can have non-elected members as voting members on a delegated committee. I think there's 3 different categories of committee you can have that for. One's tourism, one's harbours, and I always forget the 3rd. So no, this committee, even though it's delegated, can have members of the public as full members of that committee because it relates to tourism.
Thank you for explaining.
Any other questions before we move to vote? Okay, so let's move to vote. All those in favour of ACE becoming a delegated committee is unanimous. Thank you, everyone. Again, great. I think that was the only decision we needed to take regarding...
It was, Your Worship. There was no recommendations from the A361 committee.
Nope. Or the neighbourhood plan.
And neither the neighbourhood plan.
Okay.
The point of accuracy, the A361 committee, that's technically should be on the other report. I didn't write this. That should be on the delegated committee report, but I'll pick that up internally. And the recommendation from World Heritage didn't need to be a full council decision. That was just actioned as an operational part of their work.
Yeah. Okay, so we can move on to unitary councillor reports, but I don't think we have any, do we?
No, I've had apologies from Councillor Cottle and Councillor Hart's not in attendance, so I haven't had anything circulated to me in writing. If I do receive anything, I will send it to councillors, but no, Your Worship, I haven't received any.
So it's a little bit out of the loop with Somerset, but hey. Councillor Hanson,
Thank
sorry.
you very much, Chair. Sure. It's a shame that the councillors aren't here. There was one item that I was going to point Councillor Cottle towards, and it's overgrown verges. Specifically the bypass, which I've mentioned before, that path in certain places is getting narrower and narrower. Also, as you're coming into Glastonbury from street, as you approach Tor Leisure, both sides of that road are now, or the both sides of that road are overgrown. And in fact, I did see somebody today, unfortunately, on crutches having to come out into the road because he couldn't fit himself onto the pavement. So that is quite urgent. And the other place, which is more sort of unsightly rather than anything else, is the wall that surrounds the parcel pickup place at the back of the post office going into Butler's car park. I mean, there are buddleia and thistles and nettles up this high, you know, with decent sized trunks on them. I think that would probably be Somerset Council's responsibility. So I'm sure there's other places in the town, but that's 3 that have caught my eye recently.
So could we maybe write to our 2 county councillors with those points, because we can't say to them in person?
Yeah, sure.
I've got Councillor Oakton and Councillor Rennie Dougal.
Well, I'm speaking to Steve's point, which is, Steve, that if you remember, I've been mentioning about leg of mutton, and Nick Cottle told me to go to the Somerset Council webpage, which I think is part of highways and then it's pavements. and you mark where the point is and you state what the problem is. Both times it has been done, again, it's been done within the month.
Brilliant.
So maybe if you do that, and now I think that with me, because it's been the back of somebody's garden, that Somerset Council has approached the owner, the house owner, who's then done it, I think, but I don't know for certain.
No, that's good advice.
If it's Somerset Council themselves, it might be a different matter, but it's worked twice for me now.
Okay, that's brilliant.
Councillor Overton.
I'd like to eventually talk to either Councillor Cottle or Councillor Hart regarding the flooding that is consistently taking place in Cinnamon Lane where I live. My home has now been flooded for the 5th time this year. I have currently spent £13,000 on drains to take the water away. My poor next door neighbour has spent £60,000 on drainage, much of which should have been cleared by Somerset County Council. This is an ongoing problem. We have done everything we can to keep our properties secure, and the lane continues to flood because the drains are not cleared, but there is one particular drain that should have been cleaned in August. It was arranged to be cleared by Highways Authority. We phoned the Highways Authority when they didn't turn up, and we were told in no uncertain terms, sorry about that, but we haven't got any money. Well, unfortunately for Somerset County Council, we are now taking legal action against them because this is destroying our property. And they have been told for the past 5 years that this has been going on with absolutely no real response at all. It's now flooded into the farms, it's flooded into the fields. It's a serious problem, and it's not our problem any longer. It is definitely the drainage, which is not cleared, and broken drains that have not been repaired. And it is concerning not just us, but a lot of other people now. And we, frankly, are fed up of it, and we will take legal action unless we get any sort of response from Somerset County Council.
Margaret.
Hi. Councillor Cook.
Margaret, yeah, sorry to hear that, but have you, as a group, sort of managed to get a survey done? Have you managed to get a land survey done or anything?
We've done a great deal of research into what's wrong, but we now know that the drainage system that runs under the field, which was put in the 1960s, I believe, has now collapsed. Now the farmer has repaired all the drains that he can. He did that last year, and he's sealed all the drains. But the problem now is that it's just simply pushed the water further down. And although it is not as bad as it used to be, I mean, my garden was under 2 foot of water. My field, I had a swan on it last year. I mean, it's when you're faced with unrelentless water that is just pouring at you and you can do nothing about it, it's incredibly frightening and incredibly frustrating. And this has been going on for far too long. But my next door neighbours are in a worse state than I am, and they've asked me to speak today at the council. Unfortunately, Councillor Cottle and Councillor Hart are not here, but I will be contacting them. But, you know, these poor people have literally spent £60,000 repairing drains that are actually not their real responsibility to do, but they must keep their own property safe. So hopefully I'll get a response.
Thank you. Are we able to write to our county councillors?
You guys certainly are as councillors. Yes, you can.
I'm thinking we could write to them, first of all, encouraging them to attend, and then secondly, about the specific issues they would have heard about if they'd been here.
Yeah, if you'd like to convey that to your county councillors, please do. It'll have more impact from you guys as fellow councillors than it will do from me.
Okay. Good. So moving on again, updates from lead councillors and representatives to outside bodies. Do we have any updates from outside bodies?
I can say that the work at Tor Leisure is going at great speed, so they're very, very busy. I haven't looked over at Bailey's because I've been away, but you've just had meetings, haven't you? And Connor, did you have a meeting on St Dunstan's?
Yes, we had a recent progress meeting with the contractor.
And red brick, as we've heard, is there's a surveyor report and audit that in due course will be made public, as you sort of voted for. Enabling, as far as I understand, is progressing. So there is a site, and we're waiting for a surveyor, but that has to, the Somerset would put a surveyor, but there's legal issues around it, so they have to get permission. And then also there needs to be a management or project company for that to progress. I was hoping John was going to be here, because I wanted to know if they'd actually put solar panels on St Dunstan School. They were going to do it in August, but I haven't had any feedback from that. And then also with whatever progress they were hoping to make with the field, so on Portugal Grove. And as far as I understand, the farm is doing okay and there's no issues with it.
Councillor Reddy Diggle.
So as there was a lack of understanding with regard to what's going on with Bride's Mand,
oh yes,
let me update you on that. So it took us a whole year to get the planning permission, which finally came through in July. So now we're able to work with the Roundhouse Company, who've appointed an architect who is in the process of doing the final plans. So we are also working with National Grid to get electricity on site and working with Bristol Water to get water on site. So beginning, slowly. I mean, it just takes so long. But anyway, the hoardings are going to go up in the next couple of weeks, so it's going to start looking like a proper site where things are actually happening. So that's the Roundhouse, which will hopefully make a beautiful access through to the chapel site and be a lovely meeting room for people to use. So hopefully that is going to really enhance the whole area. As far as the nature reserve is concerned, which is the other part of well, the second part of the project, trees have been planted. The land is now being managed according to Somerset Wildlife's wildflower meadow management scheme. So there's no slurry going on it anymore. It's having a late hay cut, and there are going to be sheep put on it in the winter. So the land will gradually go. I think it's either this winter or next winter, they're going to be doing what they call scrapes, which already the land is quite wet and liable to flood, but they're going to increase the amount of water in part of the field so that they're water meadows, like old-fashioned water meadows used to be, which will allow a lot more water, animals and insects and plants and so on to survive. So turning it all into a nature reserve rather than a couple of agricultural fields. And then with regard to the actual chapel site, part of the money that came from what was called the Robert Richards Initiative, which was money that came because the Town Deal Board decided not to do our Glastonbury Town Council plan for a park and ride. If you remember, we were going to do park and ride. That was the electric bus, was the Town Council's park and ride plan. And that got scrapped. And that money went to the Robert Richards Initiative, which is doing multi-user paths. And I did ask what Suzanne was asking for. I did actually ask for that to be one of the multi-user paths. But because it's outside of the Town Deal Farm boundary, it couldn't be one of the multi-user paths. But anyway, they're going to do a path from Bridie's Farm through past using the Friends Fields, using the Bride's Mand Fields. So we're going to have a multi-user path, and that will go past through to the Baileys and Red Brick and that whole area from Bridie's Farm. And it will be for both cycles and disabled and pedestrians. So that's happening. And then from the Roundhouse, there's going to be a disabled path up to the chapel site. The chapel site will be marked out in stone on the ground, so you can actually see where the chapel was.
They're not going to do the other two buildings. What I think of as the Hermit's House, and they call the Priest's House, and what I think as the Pilgrims Rest Centre, but which hasn't got a name as yet because nobody really knows what it was for. They're not going to be marked, only the chapel site, and hopefully a couple of benches up there so that people can sit and enjoy the views and the peace and the space. So it is progressing slowly. A tortoise could go faster. Slug could go faster, let alone a snail. Okay, so we haven't had an update for years, so just to let you know, it is happening.
Councillor Manning?
I can just update on, first of all, on Bailey's, work is progressing at pace. We're still doing what's called the enabling work, so we're actually getting rid of all the contamination. Not that there's that much. So there was very little asbestos that we have to take out, but we're basically making the site safe and also structurally safe. So in fact, last week I was able to go up to the top floor of the old house, which is the sort of the extreme end. And it's all clear. It looks a really safe site, and things are moving very, very fast. It's almost like literally every day another room is being declared. It's now sort of gone from red to green because it's now a safe. Perfect. Actually working our way around the building. While I'm on my feet, if I just quickly mention a couple of things that Chamber are doing. Our next meeting is on the 19th of October, which is a networking event at Monaghan's, right on the other side of the bypass. That's I guess it's 6:30. Sorry, 6 o'clock. And then on the 22nd of October, because we're Glastonbury and Street Chamber now, or as they like to say, Street and Glastonbury Chamber, we've got a breakfast meeting at Peggy's Diner, and that's at the ridiculously early time of 7:45.
Thank you. Any other updates from other outside bodies or connections we have? Nope. Okay, so I think we're ready for Mayor's announcements. So it's been quite a busy month for me as Mayor. I've got some pictures to prove it. So the beginning of... Oh, look. So Tor Fair, which I hadn't been to before, but it was very impressive. I went on a ghost ride and I took my stepson, who enjoyed it probably more than I did. I was invited to the Rose concert, which happens downstairs, now in its 4th year, I think. Kind of dedicated to showcasing upcoming local musicians, very impressive. This is Kat Lupton, the Bard of Glastonbury, current Bard of Glastonbury. I went to the 5th anniversary of the Glastonbury Mural Trail. This is the very latest mural, I think, on the pump house, just down the road from us. They've got an extraordinary number of murals around town, and it's a real test of your knowledge of every street in Glastonbury. Can you recognise where they all come from? Quite a mixture of styles, from the more classical to the less classical. But they were delighted to celebrate their 5th anniversary. I went to Bridie's Farm, where they're having an open day.
And the Scarecrow one.
It is the Scarecrow one?
Yeah.
They've got a wonderful collection of scarecrows. I think it was just the beginning of the current spell of wet weather, but they are learning the land and learning what they can do in the land, despite it being fairly wet. Clearly got a good community of volunteers around them helping the kind of core team. I went to Sea Cadets AGM, again, which I hadn't been to before. This is from their Facebook page. It's almost like a youth club with a very particular ethos to it. So really interesting, but really dedicated community of older people supporting these younger people. And clearly really making the most of fairly limited resources that they got. They've had all sorts of very slow moving legal issues themselves, trying to negotiate a lease on their property from Fusion, which they see were just getting somewhere almost the day I went there. Yes, I went to the Zigzag building as part of Somerset Arts Week. My goodness, I forgot to put that picture in. Somerset Arts Week is in fact a month, pretty much. The Zigzag building up on the top floor has this remarkable exhibition called As Old as the Hills. and this was one of their exhibits. I think it's now finished. I went to a very beautiful concert in St Ben's Church, some Sufis. St Ben's is a real interfaith place. I've been to Hindu stuff there. This was the Sufis. This is Mikhail Rose, who's local, and a special sheikh from Germany, Sheikh Hassan, but beautiful music in St Ben's. I went to Taunton at the invitation of the High Sheriff, who'd organised a big event in Taunton celebrating volunteers, hundreds and hundreds of volunteer, or dozens and dozens of volunteer stalls in Taunton. And also all these dignitaries to kind of, enjoy it too. I've never seen so many mayors in one place. I don't know if you know, the collective noun for a group of mayors is a magnificence of mayors. Wow. Just mention that. Pack of dogs, a herd of cats, magnificence of mayors. Yes, one thing I did in Taunton, at the end of this volunteer celebration, was sign something called a Charter for Compassion, which Taunton has clearly been considering for a while, but they signed it with due ceremony, and the Lord Lieutenant, was deputy, and the High Sheriff and so on all signed it. It's basically committing the town, a little bit like an Earth Protector declaration, to act with compassion in all possible ways, in all possible areas. It was quite interesting talking to the other mayors, particularly from Wells and Street, Chair of Street, that there's quite a shared interest, I think, in us taking it forward as well, the Charter for Compassion. So I'd like to look into it a bit more. And the very last thing today was meeting Mr. Flowerpot. Yes, this is us in Bath today at the award-giving ceremony for Southwest in Bloom, where we met Mr. Flowerpot, and the results are strictly secret. But I can say we came away happy. Can I say that?
Came away happy.
So yes, myself, Katie, Connor, Councillor Oaten, were all in Bath today, reaping the fruits of all the hard work of the staff and the Glastonbury and Bloom Committee in Southwest in Bloom. In a couple of weeks, we go to Manchester for the even more consequential finals of Britain in Bloom. Wow. But this was Southwest in Bloom.
Is it next week? Next Monday?
It's quite, I should know. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. 2 weeks' time. 2 weeks' time we go to Manchester. Then fairly soon after that, we have the big reveal of all our different awards and the local awards in our town hall.
Fantastic.
That's on the evening of the 25th of October, yes. So that's when the announcement of our results will take place. Yes.
Very good.
So that brings you right up to date. I've even still got my waistcoat on underneath this. That's the end of the Mayor's announcements. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any correspondence, communications or announcements?
And from me, I'm
not sure we do, no. Then any items for news release? We will have Glastonbury Bloom, but not yet. Slightly premature. Then I think the last item is to note the date of our next meeting, which will be on the 8th of October.
Actions from the meeting.
Oh, actions from the meeting, sorry.
Right, Your Worship.
Actions from the meeting, yes.
I should have been writing my notes using my little green stars. The council has obviously resolved that it wishes for the report into the Life Factory project to be public. So I will pass that on to the Town Deal Board and Somerset Council, although Councillor Lation is here tonight, so she is fully aware.
We're going to amend the minutes slightly. Last month.
Amend the minutes as requested and bring them to the next meeting. And really, Your Worship, other than sort of operational decisions and things that we crack on with after a meeting, that seems to be any particular actions. A little scan of my notes, but of course I'll write in the minutes anything else that comes go through, Your Worship. But as ever, I've noted what I and the team need to do.
Thank you.
And our next meeting will be, just remind us.
Tuesday, the 12th of November.
Okay. So I declare the meeting closed. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
And, thank you.